Dear sirs, welcome to this webinar today. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is John de Jong from Alpical, and today we're going to discuss the new features of version 9 in Claro. This is a webinar. You're all muted, so you're not. We cannot hear you inside the webinar. However, you have the opportunity to raise your hand and to ask questions. I would like to ask you to do that at the end of the webinar, when I will give you the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Let me start with a overview of the new features in version 9. And of course, going from version 8 to version 9 is a major new release. And no major new release can be introduced by Alpical without a significant improvement in image quality. And we're very proud that we have been able to deliver that, and actually have made a very significant step forward in image quality. Maybe even more significant than you can expect going from version 8 to version 9. We're on the market for a very long time already, but the more proud we are that we have indeed been able to make this big step. And I'll show you some examples during this webinar. So where do these new improvements come from? There is a completely new local contrast algorithm. That local contrast, as most of you know, is the function to open up shadow areas without affecting overall contrast and highlights. And this algorithm has been improved. And that leads to an increased overall contrast, increased detail, and more lively faces without giving in on shadow detail. So in the examples you will see that you will see those improvements very clearly. Second thing in terms of image quality is that our noise reduction filter can be applied in luminosity mode. That means that the image will actually be converted from RGB to LAB, and noise filtering will be done on the luminance information only. And this avoids banding issues, which is more or less equivalent with the noise filter, that you get banding issues in skies and areas with even color. With this option, you avoid those issues. So that's the image quality. Apart from that, we introduce cluster functionality. That means that multiple Claro instances can actually function as being one, leading to load balancing and automatic failover. And we go deeper into that later on in this meeting. Grouping of channels. If you have many workflows, this is a good option to actually organize your channels, and it also allows you to export and import groups of channels. We have also introduced a new optional module to open multiple images in Inspector simultaneously. So at the moment in version 8 you can only open one image at a time. You get original and processed, and you have to finish that image before you can open up the next. With this new optional module, you can now open up multiple images at the same time. Also new is that Photoshop Inspector supports CS6, and that the opening of images from Inspector has been improved and actually is much faster now. Let me start by showing you some examples of the improved image quality. The image on the left, on the top, is version 8, and the other one is version 9. I hope this comes across through this webinar, But I think you will see that we have much more lively faces, that there's much more contrast in the faces, also in the jacket, and that we even have better shadow detail. On this image, you can see also the improvement in contrast in the boy's shirt, for example. The hair of the boy is much better. More lively faces, more depth in the faces. This one is also a very clear example, I think. Although again, it might not come across as well as expected through the webinar. The cluster functionality. Like I said, it provides automatic failover and load balancing opportunities. The way it works is that you actually can run multiple Claro, Claro instances on multiple servers, and they will actually operate as one. This is based on using a file server. So temporary files, folders, configuration is all stored on a central file server, and multiple Claro instances can operate with the same configuration. So if one of the instances fail, the other ones just continue processing. So for the users, this is completely transparent. Also, files will be picked up from the hot folders by various instances. So if one instance is free, it will check the hot folder, take the next image and lock it so that the other instances don't take those images. So this is load balancing as well as automatic failover. All instances respond in the same way. They give the same answers. This means that you can connect to the user interface of any one of the servers, and you will get exactly the same information. All instances also have the same role, so there is no master or slave. They all have the same role, and they're all processing images. Also with Inspector and InDesign Job Client, it doesn't matter with which instance you connect because they all respond in the same way. With the clients, it's also the case that should the server that you are connected to fail, the client will automatically connect to one of the other servers. So again, for the users, this is completely transparent, and they can just continue their work. It's also extremely easy to set up, and of course there is a comprehensive manual available. But let me quickly show you how easy this actually is to set up. So if I go to my program files ALPCA Claro folder and to the configuration, there is a example configuration file. The file should be called claroservers.conf, and if I open this, you can just see a list with server names. So these are just host names of all Claro instances, an unlock timeout, and the network folder. And if this configuration file is distributed across all instances, then it works. So I'm not showing this as a tutorial, but more to show you how extremely simple this is to set up, in contrast of other clusters that can be extremely complicated to set up. And in the manual folder, of course, there is, many of you will know this, but if you go to the ALPCA Claro manual folder, you'll find all kinds of documentation for the clients, for the server setup, for the web services API, etc. And the new one is the manual for the multi-server configuration. Grouping of channels. Like I said, if you have many workflows, you can organize your workflows by creating channel groups, as you can see here in the overview. So the green bars are actually group names, and by clicking on the bar, it will actually open and show you the channels that are inside. So some of our customers have up to 100 channels or even more. So this can be an extremely helpful tool to organize your workflows. You can easily make channels member of a new group that you make, or you can separate them again from the group, etc. Let me show you that in real life. So you can see that I have test channels. I can close this and I can open it so it shows the workflows. If I click on the name, I can actually add channels to this group or remove them from the group. I can create a new group, of course, and if I create a new channel, I can immediately choose a group that this channel should belong to. Let me show you the multiple images in inspector functionality. This is optional. Can be purchased as a separate module. Started out as a special development for one of our clients, but by making this available as an extra module, other customers can benefit from it. The idea behind is that if you have multiple images on one page, that you can look at all the images on one page and make them appear similar. So, for example, if I have these images and I say open in Photoshop, it will actually open up original and processed of both of the images that I have selected. Original, processed. And then when I select this image and say use processed, that image will close. I still have the other one, etc. Upgrading your existing Claro installation. For customers with a maintenance contract, this upgrade is for free. The software can simply be downloaded from our website. For customer without maintenance, they can upgrade from 8 to 9 at the prices that you see here. What I advise to do is to install a trial version first and test with your settings. Because of the quality improvements, you might actually want to change your settings. And if you do change your settings, it's probably closer to our default settings. So this is my advice. Of course, always good if you do an upgrade, make a backup of your existing installation. Most importantly, your settings file. So that's in the Elpco Claro installation folder, preferences folder, Claro preferences.xml. So always make sure you make a copy of that file. Also, what you need to know is that you need to upgrade your license. So you can do that by sending us your claro.key file. It's in the Elpco Claro license directory. We can then upgrade that key file and you can place it back into that same directory even if you're still running version 8 because it's backward compatible. So you can still run your version 8 with it. And then if you're ready to install version 9, you can just install over the existing installation. It will keep your settings and you can continue working with version 9. So this is an overview of the new features in version 9. I'm actually missing one slide, which is very strange. Let me that we have a promotion, an introduction offer for the upgrade to 9. To have existing customers benefit from the cluster functionality. We offer to existing customers to buy a second license at a reduced price. This is an offer that's valid till mid-November and has a 25% reduction on the price. So you can buy a second license to the one that you already have. Also, if you have a backup license, you can upgrade it to a full license to benefit from the cluster functionality, also at 25% discount. So thank you all for listening to the webinar, for tuning in. And now we have the opportunity to ask questions. So you can raise your hand so I can unmute you, and you can ask your question. Anyone? Hello, Kees. Ask your question, please.
No, John, it's very clear. Thank you very much for your explanation.
Kees, can you ask your question? I think I hear something in the far background, but very, very soft.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's much better.
Okay. No, it's very clear to me. Thank you very much for your explanation. It was very helpful. So no further questions from Man Roland.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anybody else with a question? Anyone with a question can raise your hand. Okay, then I'd like to thank you very much for joining this webinar, and I wish you a very nice day. And if you have any questions, of course, you know how to find us. Thank you very much.